Hello and good day, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I'm Sean David. Thanks for tuning in. In today's show, we got a true NBA legend, the human highlight film, Dominique Wilkins. Dominique, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here, bro.
Dominique, I want to tell you a short story. It's the year 1992. It's Christmas, and under my Christmas tree, there is basically the best present of my life. NBA Superstars Volume 2, the VHS. That was the first time that I saw your incredible dunks. In all honesty, Dominique, how often do you go on YouTube and check out your old clips and think, okay, I was great?
You know, every now and then, not that often, but when I do, you're pretty amazed. But like, wow, I used to do that, and now I can't jump off of a curve. Okay, but it's fun to kind of go back with your kids and let them see, especially younger kids, and let them see some of the things that you did as a player. So it always amazes me some of the things that we did when we were younger.
Now, you were drafted in 1982 by the Utah Jazz with the third pick. James Worthy was the number one pick. How many times did you think about what would have been if the Lakers would have selected you instead of James Worthy?
It was close. I mean, it almost was a Laker, but when you look back at it, everybody did very well in the draft. Could have very easily been a Laker, but it didn't happen that way. I ended up at Atlanta Hawks, and if I had the chance to do it over again, I probably would do the same thing or wish for the same thing. But I wanted to play in Atlanta as well. So, but that Laker team would have been a special team to play for.
Well, it would have been Magic Johnson would have been your point guard. You would have Byron Scott as a shooting guard. You would be the forward. That would have been a different kind of showtime. I think that would have been the most spectacular team in NBA history.
That'd have been a pretty special team. No question. I mean, when you playing with a guy like Magic, Kareem, Byron, Jamal Wilkes, all those guys they had back in those days that was an incredible team. I mean, you could take out five and put in five. I mean, that's how good that team was.
Well, one thing's for sure, you probably would have been the NBA all-time leading scorer having a point guard like Magic distributing the ball like that.
Well, Magic is the prototypical point guard. He looks to set people up, pass first, shoot second. You never see a point guard like that, especially at that size, to do the things that he did, both rebounding, scoring, passing the basketball, and his grit, I might add, was off the charts. His confidence level was something else.
Now, you played probably in the best era of NBA basketball, and you had some of the most incredible rivalries, especially you as a player. Your rivalries with Jordan is legendary. Your rivalry with Larry Bird is legendary. So I definitely want to talk about that. Your first interaction with Larry Bird was a very rude awakening. What do you recall from that first meeting, and what was it like having the final laugh?
Well, you know what? The funny thing is, when you're a rookie coming to the league, you're a hotshot rookie, and you think you're, one of the greatest, and those veterans have a way to let you know, look, you got to pay your dues, and that was one of the situations with me and Larry. I went to shake his hand, he wouldn't shake my hand, and I remember saying to myself, well, maybe he's just getting into the game. And I remember the first play of the game, he said, "You don't even belong in this league, Holmes," and he shoots a three. I'm like, I wasn't mad he made the three. I said, did he just call me Holmes? But I remember after the first time, I made a great play against him. I remember him saying, he said, you got some toughness, man. I like you, but he said, I'm still getting 40 tonight. He got about 38, so he kind of proved his point.
Now, back in the days, there were many black players for example, Cedric Maxwell, for example, who openly admit that they thought Larry Bird was overrated until they actually got to play against him. When was your moment where you thought, okay, this kid is for real?
The first day I played against him. First day I played. I mean, I knew he was a super player before I came into the NBA, but when I had a chance to play against Larry Bird, and I can count on one hand the type of guys like him that you had to be totally focused in on. If you didn't, he would embarrass you. That's as simple as that. He had the heart of a lion, basketball IQ off the charts, and he found different ways to beat you.
Yeah. Now, I did some research, and you and Michael Jordan are the guys with the most high-scoring games against the Boston Celtics in the Larry Bird era. Were you like always extra motivated when you played against Larry?
Of course, absolutely. You had to be. I mean, because you had to be able to meet someone else or match someone else's will. And if you didn't match his will, I mean, it was a long night for you. But if you're not ready to play against the best players, play the game, you're in the wrong sport, because that's what it's about. It's about competing at the highest level and bringing out the best in one another. And we did that.
Yeah. Now, your rivalry with Larry Bird was incredible. My personal favorite is the Michael Jordan rivalry, though. And for many, many years, I wanted to tell you something. So now you hear something from the biggest Jordan fan alive. Something that you already know. You won the 1988 Slam Dunk contest. So, having said that, with all the great games that you had against Michael, Scottie Pippen recently said in an interview that he hated to play against you because he always had the feeling that you were mad at Michael and you took it out on him. Is there some truth to that?
Probably, yeah. I have a lot of respect for Scottie, and for him to say that, and I've heard another interview where he said something similar to that, and because I've always thought of him as a great player and what he did. When you talk about great complimentary players, Scottie Pippen is at the top of that list, as a guy who helped elevate his team to championships. And so for that to come from him, it was definitely a major compliment. And but yeah, he's probably right. Again, if you had to have that same energy that Mike had, because Mike had fire in his eyes every time you played against him.
Now, the Eastern Conference back in the days in your era was loaded. You had so many incredible teams, the 76ers, the Bulls, the Bad Boys, the Celtics, and so on. When, for you personally, was the moment when you realized, okay, the Bulls are the team of the future, they are the team to beat to win the championship?
Well, I thought that after the second year in the playoffs against the Pistons, and they made an adjustment, and they got bigger, they got stronger, and more determined. And once they won that first championship, and I said, during those times that this team's going to win multiple championships. We didn't know they were going to win 6 in 7 years, but I knew that they was going to be an unstoppable team.
Now, I was always wondering, since we're in the 80s right now, how terrible was it for you as a high flyer, a dunker, to play against a team like the Detroit Pistons?
It was great. I love playing against Detroit. First of all, you got to bring the physicality when you played against teams like that. They were a physical team. They were a team that would try to do anything to beat you. And so you had to give that same punishment back. So, we fought tooth and nail every time we played. They were a tough team. They were physical, man. Those big guys, you didn't walk down the lane and get like a free layup, You paid for it.
Did you ever get in a fight with somebody like Bill Embiid or Rick Mahorn and those guys?
Yeah, we had scuffles a couple of times, yeah. Mainly me and Lambeer, but, Lambeer had a way of getting under your skin.
Yeah, I believe that. Now, you were super loyal to the Atlanta Hawks. It's also one of the reasons why you're still so beloved. Was there ever a time in the 80s where there were some trade rumors about you leaving the Hawks to go to a contender?
Not really. Towards the end of my reign in Atlanta, you heard certain things that, we had this type of guy on this team, could lift them to that championship level. But I wanted to win in Atlanta, and I have no regrets. If I had a chance to do it again, I would do the same thing. I love Atlanta. I love the city. I love these fans, this organization. And so we didn't get a championship, but that's okay. The thing that I'm most proud of that I gave it everything I had. Unfortunately, I just never had another guy like a Scottie, like James Worthy to get me over the hump.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the slam dunk contest, how it evolved and its current state. I often have the argument, especially with younger dudes, that who believe that today's slam dunk contest is way more spectacular because everybody's so much more athletic. And I always have the argument, and I say, well, maybe most guys are more athletic, but the big difference is back in the days, the best players in the league also happen to be the best dunkers, and that is what made it so spectacular back in the days.
Well, first of all, I don't agree that, guys are more athletic. Guys are definitely athletic. I mean, super athletes, just like we were. But, I think when people look at guys using props and all this kind of stuff, they look at that as athleticism, and it is. But I think the dunk contest should be measured on your ability to create, either shoes and a basketball, and that's it. And bring out your creativity that way. I mean, but that's what it's for. I mean, all of us could have did props, and that's fine. I'm not judging anybody for that, but it just really kills me when I hear people say, one league is more athletic than the other era. And so it's an unfair comparison because we all was great athletes. And like, for example, this year, slam dunk contest with Gordon, I thought he was incredible. He's the only guy in the history of the slam dunk contest that got like 850s who haven't won. How is that possible?
Yeah, ridiculous.
This guy was great this year. He should have won.